turn down the volume, and that'll stop the echo on the.
Okay, did that do it?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so it's time to get started on our semester project for the marketing plan. Hopefully everyone from your team, there's someone from your team here. We are gonna record and upload this to YouTube, and I'll send you a link so that the people who are not here or not on the WebEx can then in fact see what the answers to questions were. And so I'm gonna introduce Chelsea, and this is Dr. Gary, for those of you who have had a sales class, you've probably seen him before. So he's helping out with the with the upload to the YouTube. So this is
They're
Chelsea.
saying that they can't hear online.
Well.
And she said it's echoing really bad.
Okay. Can you hear now? Do we hear? Anybody out there?
I just asked.
Test, test, test. Yes? It's not echoing.
She said she can hear now.
Okay, good. So everything's good. All right, so let me introduce you to Chelsea Ritterman. And she is actually a UCO alum. And she is now working for UCO Enterprises, I think is what the division is called. And she's going to talk to you about what she needs help with in terms of marketing, meeting space, wedding space, camps, that kind of thing. So here's Chelsea.
Hi everybody, I'm Chelsea. I graduated from UCO in 2016 and I've actually worked here since 2013 as a student and now professional staff. So I've been here for a minute and
You're gonna have to pump up the volume probably.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited that you guys are gonna be helping me with this project because our events management team is needing some love. So my department oversees everything on campus that generates its own revenue. So there's a side of campus that actually doesn't get state funding for its operations, and that's gonna be your housing operations, your dining, your events management, parking is self-generating, and our brand new co-op is now a revenue-generating operation on campus. So I oversee a lot of stuff. It's all really fun, cool stuff, and they all kind of work together, especially when it comes to events management. One of our biggest products, I guess you could call it, is our summer camps. So that is one of the kind of marketing angles that we'll have to tackle, as well as our private corporate events, and then weddings is also part of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go over, so we actually just finished a rebranding of events management. So they used to be conferences and events. I hated that name, so I said I'm renaming it and we're gonna rebrand it and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna go through that just to kind of familiarize you kind of who we are as a department. And then I have a couple of other resources that I'm going to provide to you. You can kind of pick through it as you're kind of working through the marketing angle. But really, it's what we're looking for is kind of a holistic marketing approach. So we had a sales director, and he left in the spring of 19. And we have not rehired that position, so the department has kind of been a little neglected since then. So we're now really turning our focus to them. Obviously, housing's a big aspect of our business, and so they get the chunk of attention all the time. And now events management really needs some of that love. So you guys are kind of going to help me refocus my department and kind of give us some ideas to kind of help us jumpstart back into that angle of things. So let's do this. Is it all good?
I think we're good, yeah.
Okay. How do I do this?
So now we need to find your
PowerPoint.
documents. Is it on the other screen?
I think it is.
Okay.
All
All right.
Oh, there it is. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So this is event management. Like I said, we just did the rebranding project. So we have mission, vision, values, all that good branding stuff that's going to help you kind of focus in on how we want to talk to our customers. So because we are events management at UCO, we obviously support the university's mission, and we do that by providing a venue where guests can gather to promote community, individual growth, engage citizenship, leadership, and a global perspective. So that applies, that's obviously going to hit a lot of our Central 6 tenants, as well as your community clients, your corporate clients are obviously going to have a lot of those shared goals. So we want to talk their language. We want to be the venue of choice, obviously. We want them to come and use our spaces. And these are our 4 values. So these are kind of also what we use to guide whenever we're writing copy for all of our marketing collateral and things like that. So we're affordable, we want to be hospitable. We obviously want to be a place to gather. And then we want to make everything super simple when you come and book an event with us. And that's also our tagline. We are events made simple. So when you come and book an event with us, you are going to have a point person, and you are going to be able to do your, you're going to have your event here. We're going to do your catering for you. We're going to set it up for you, and it's going to be part of that charge. It's not a separate charge like it is a lot of other venues. So that's tables, chairs, linens, all that good stuff, and as well as audio visuals. So that is all included in that pricing you're getting from us. So we are really all inclusive. I avoided that word because I feel it's really overused, so we didn't go with all inclusive. And then this is obviously how we want to talk in our copies. So we want to be, we're serious, but we definitely want to make sure that we're communicating exactly what we're saying. We want to be a respectable part of that events management word. Yeah, it's fine. And our hashtag is Event Central. So you're going to see this. It comes up a lot in my particular department. All of our departments are something central. So we're Live Central, we're Dine Central, we're Game Central now that we have the co-op. So that's all part of that. This is our color palette, and as well as our photo styles. So you're seeing UCO's colors here. University Communication is really generous with our department. They let us really take the UCO branding guidelines and kind of hold them on their head a little bit. So we get to do a little bit of experimentation with UCO's branding guidelines to make sure that we still stand out in the market, not just as UCO. So you're going to see, you see the bronze and the blue, but it's not our primary. Well, it is a primary, but it's secondary, but we're going to be using a lot of whites and grays too. And this is just some photo inspiration that my designer put together. And this is all repeats of UCO branding guidelines. But we do get to have a little extra fun. We do have an extra font that we get to use that's not an official UCO font. So again, it's not standing out in the market. So that's a really quick overview of the brand. And whenever you guys are obviously going down this road, my team is fully at your disposal. So that's me, that's my designer, and we also have the entire events management team that will be ready to meet with you guys if you ever have questions for them or want to do any kind of research with them. They're all available. Okay. So you guys have any questions about events management as a entity? Or are we kind of following the university or anything like that? We all good? Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. So these are some of those other resources I was talking about. So we have a partnership with a company called Unique Venues. So we're on their site. They have trade shows that we attend, and they're a major player in that event venue space. And they actually came in 2015, which is a really long time ago at this point, and did a wholesale assessment of our operation and gave us a bunch of suggestions that's marketing related, it's going to be sales related, and it's all in here. There's 3 associated documents that are in here. as well as it also talks about challenges in our operations and suggests how we can adjust that. So you see things like office structure, how we schedule our venue, specifically the dining hall capacity, which we've also taken care of that. We're all good on that front now. So this was done, and then our marketing and sales director left. So we've had quite a bit of rotation in this office. So this has never actually really been utilized. I poked through it and kind of sent suggestions, but it was before my time in my position, and it definitely was not the focus of my department when I came into my position. So this is all here, and it is totally yours. You get to pick through it, gut it, use it. It is all there. So there's a little bit kind of a springboard into a really in-depth look into our operations. So you can see.
So this is a private entity's assessment of where you were 5 years ago. Is that what you're saying this is?
Yep.
Okay.
It is.
And now this group, this unique venues or venture, okay, is it still in existence?
It is.
And you're still part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody who might be booking a business meeting might go through them to get to you?
Yep.
What does it cost you to be part of this?
I think we're paying north of 20. I know for sure we're north of 2,500.
A year?
A year, and that's because so it's based off of tier levels, so you get a different access with every year. It's been a minute since I've looked at that, but I can pull it up and see what we're getting. But this year we got we're getting a new video, so they're going to come in and they're going to do a script with us, and I can actually pull up their page for us.
Well, how many contacts do you get from it? I mean, is it worthwhile was my question.
That is a great question. And that is a question we've been asking ourselves in the last about 6 months, a year, because it is a big chunk of change that we're spending on it. We do get inquiries from it. I don't know if the volume is necessarily translating to a return on investment that we necessarily want to see.
Okay, do you do like any Google AdWords?
So we've done some with them.
With them,
Yeah,
okay.
so we pay.
So do they charge you on top of their $2,500 a year?
So whenever we pay for the tier that we're in unique venues, we get 3 additional services as part of that charge. So we're getting that new venue or that new video. We got a SEO Google search with them that they did for a quarter, and I don't remember what the third one is anymore. Yes.
So you haven't implemented any of this yet?
Some of it has been implemented, like the dining. We are obviously like already on that road anyways. Some of it has been implemented, some of it has not. It has been about a year since I've actually looked at this document.
Really?
Yeah. It is definitely a resource that's not being used.
Because I mean, whether it's useful or not, I think it like needs to be like probably implemented before you choose on whether you cut them or if you keep them.
So this was done about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would love, obviously, to have somebody come in and do this again, because we're in such a different place than we were 5 years ago, both in terms of how housing and events management operate together now. We have the dining hall. We have, obviously, new leadership that's going to be open to a lot of different ideas that they presented in here that we weren't there 5 years ago. So I for sure agree with that.
Okay, so you said you don't know about how many people book a year, but about what's the price range that you look at for bookings?
For booking, so I can actually give you the exact prices.
Perfect.
And your comment was you don't know how many people book through that.
For
You
the,
do know how many book.
I can pull that information.
That'd be good to know.
And definitely like all this stuff, I can get pretty much anything that you have a question about in the next couple of days and get it over to you guys.
Do you have any control over your web presence?
I fully control the web presence.
You do?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
How did you get so lucky?
I know.
We can't do anything in the College of Business. They must like you.
So you can see our corporate events page. Is what UCO did whenever we switched our website is basically only 3 people in every division have power over their web presence. So I actually have web presence power over the entire finance and operations division. So I'm also handling accounting, information, Actually, we were handling people like Boltzmann, and then they got to be their own division. So that's great. I get to check one off. Let's see, pricing chart. Is it this one? Sorry, I gotta find it really quick. It's in here. Oh, because I did it this point. Okay, if you guys go into our venue spaces, you
Okay,
can
go
see,
back to the top so we can see what it looks like. Okay, event spaces.
it's event spaces. So if you go in here, you can see all of our bookable event spaces, and all of the pricing is on it. So you can book the entire grand ballroom for $2,250, and that's pretty much, there's no time limit on that. It's like, you can just book it. It's crazy. It's such a deal. Or you can book ballroom A for $750, and you're getting all this stuff with it. So that's that microphone, laptop, all your AV, and all your setup is all with like no additional charge. The only thing you're going to pay extra for is that catering. So all of our prices are here,
And that's per day.
as well as like how many people you can have in that space. And there's Constitution Hall. We're slowly absorbing like bits and pieces here. So we just took over Whitechapel officially. And Co-op, the gaming arena, is a bookable space. So you can book that for private events, corporate events, your team building, birthday parties, obviously like our 12-year-olds that love Fortnite, we want them to come in and pay us to have their 30-minute birthday party there. So
But you're not doing that. You're not, that's part of you or no?
yes, I have a very wide range of
Okay,
scope of
so
things.
how, has there been interest in that?
So we've actually only been open since August 17th. So we're really in that like community outreach phase. We're getting ready to talk to Kiwanis and Rotary, but Tinker Air Force Base has already reached out about doing some events with their kind of their squadrons, some team building activities. We have Edmond Public Schools in the space having classes and all of their league play, and then the YMCA has already come in and booked. They're here for 8 Saturdays starting this Saturday, and they're doing league play, and then we're also talking about summer camps with them. So there's definitely interest within the community about it. We haven't really started that birthday party outreach yet.
And what is that price for it, the e-gaming? I'm just curious, because it was like a $1.3 million build out, and I wondered if, how many birthday parties it's gonna pay for it.
Yeah. So this is actually the co-op website. And so you can book a 30-man party, which is 3 hours of gameplay for $300 basically.
That's pretty good.
We also have, so this is again, it's obviously a university space. So you are required to use the Chartwell's catering, but we're building a custom menu for this space. So and also social distancing. We can't do like, you can't order a large pizza with us right now, but you can order individual pizzas with us right now. So that's kind of some of the shifts we're having to make in our operations for all that. But and we have small party package, but it's also, you can customize it. So if I come in and I'm like, I have 12 people, we're gonna like, there's a, what's the word? There's a sliding scale. If I have this many people, it's gonna cost me this much.
How often do you do weddings at venues around here?
We are probably doing about 10-ish a year. It's not a huge market. I think for the price we're at, I think it is a good market for us to, for those one-time kind of fees that we're able to bring in from it. I think we have a really pretty campus. Whether you want to get married on UCS campus is, of course, like, you know, a personal choice. But I think for our price, because you can have a wedding in the ballrooms for about $5,000, and that's going to be space and catering all together, and that's going to get you like what 200-something people by the time you're done. So, but we're not doing a ton. It definitely has not been a major push because they are only one-time dollars coming in, so it hasn't been a major focus.
Are they mainly like UCO students that get married?
Not really. I definitely couldn't tell you exactly the clients. Like I said, I kind of haven't really been into their operations fairly recently, so I know what we do, how we do it, but like the exacts of who's coming in, I'm not too sure right now. But I can definitely we can crunch all that information and get you guys that. We do have a lot of cultural weddings, which is a really interesting demographic because we have such a large space and we can fit so many people. So we have those large extended cultural weddings coming in and having them in our space.
So how are we accommodating with like all the guidelines for COVID-19? Like we can't like exceed 50% capacity, I'm guessing.
We are doing some limited spacing. We are, for private events that are gonna come in, we are not going to tell them that they can't have that many people, because they are gonna be setting their own event guidelines for the most part. We're gonna clean the space, we're gonna provide all the sanitizing materials. We do have the campus guidelines that say you have to wear a mask, but we're not going to limit the event necessarily. We're just gonna provide you the resources to protect your own clients at that point. Yeah. We're gonna try to help you social distance, but there's also, it hasn't been a concern yet because people are not having those large scale events with us, because they're not having them really anywhere.
Did you say you could get the numbers of how many people books, or how many people would book?
Let me write all this down.
Which event spaces are used the least?
The least, doesn't it?
And then also the most.
So our like larger spaces are the ones that use the most.
So the ballrooms.
Constitution Hall. I'm trying to think if I can provide you guys a document. Okay, I'm gonna move this real quick. We have had, we have to do an annual report every year, so I can give you kind of the estimation numbers. The spaces that get used the least are definitely going to be the smaller spaces. Those also get used a lot by the university, just kind of in general. So you're going to have your small meetings and things like that in there. So the numbers are skewed a little bit because the university does use that space quite a bit. Here we go. Okay. You guys are getting a peek into the back of it all. So this was fiscal year 20's annual report numbers for events management. Total number of conference bookings was 3,939. We dropped by our 16 over here. And you can see the fiscal year 19. I have this data for the last 5 years, I know. You can see total revenue for summer camp, catering, all that good stuff. So I can give you all that. This number has significantly decreased. You can see it says, is that a 7?
Yeah. 750,000.
Wow, yeah, we fell a little bit on that one. 2 or 3 summers ago, we were pulling in $1 million plus for a summer conference. So summer conferences is a huge piece of our operation because that is basically free money for us because we don't have to pay for the housing. We have the housing. We're not paying a lot of upkeep costs because we maintain them all year. So really the summer conferences money is just all green money to us. There's not a lot of attachments for it. So we get to spread that money back out throughout the year to different projects. So we love summer conferences.
Was that just because of COVID?
For the most part, yeah. Because basically we were not allowing any events over 10 people for however long. For so long there, so yeah. So you might say this is obviously a little bit of a abnormality, and this would have been about where we were for this summer if we had managed to maintain it.
So who's booking these conferences? Private companies? I mean, like, are they small companies? Are they large companies? Who's booking?
At a kids camp?
A large chunk of the summer conferences business is religious groups. So like church, We've had Student Life, which is a national. They move. I think they actually have multiple throughout the summer, and they're north of 1,000 people when they come. They are like maxed out our residence halls. They are in every single room.
Okay,
They're using everything. Life Church is a pretty big one. We have a cheer group that comes in every year. We have. It's not a ton of. We don't see a lot of corporate revenue.
Okay.
We would love to see more corporate revenue, but we also now are competing with the Edmond Convention Center up there up north. We're also now going to be competing with downtown. And I think it's a new wrench in the whole thing, whether the rest of them have recognized it. Rose State College is getting ready to open a student center that competes with us for space. They can have as many people in their ballrooms as we can in ours. We have a little bit of a like nicer, more traditional looking ballroom, but they're down the street. So we do have some like really serious competition for that corporate revenue. Summer conferences, we are a little bit different. We do have a little bit of a leg up because we have 1,500 beds that we basically say book it. That number has decreased a little bit because we've done such a huge shift in how we market to our housing students that we now basically take the commons offline for the summer, and that is not a bookable residence hall for summer conferences. So you're still looking at about 1,500 beds. We have 1,860 beds is our max capacity, and there's about 375 in the commons. So we have 1,500 beds. We have all of the 9. We have really all of campus. We work a lot with athletics to book the Hamilton Fieldhouse. And we're really starting to try. You're going to see this in the unique venues plan. University of Central Oklahoma is not streamlined in how they manage their space. Yep.
I'm shocked to hear that.
Because events management cannot book the liberal arts atrium, like the lecture hall. We do not manage that space. If you want that space, we have to call liberal arts and see if we can book that space, or you have to go to liberal arts and see if you can book that space. The dream world is that we handle all of campus and we just book the whole thing. We're working there. I'm working there. Lots of down low messaging that's like, hey, you should do this. But so that is one obvious like barrier that we have in our operation, that we do not actually control all of the bookable event space on campus. Yep.
Do students, UCO students, do they get a discount, or like is it free, or I assume it's not free?
You do get a discount. Let me see if it's on the website. I really want to say it's 20%.
Wow.
So if you are a UCO student, alum, or current faculty staff member, you get 20% off of your space booking, not your catering. Catering is obviously that third-party company that we contract with, so that 20% does not come off your catering, but it does come off your booking of your space.
So what is your relationship with the caterer? Do you get anything from the catering?
We do. It's a little bit of a give and take with our catering company. Most of their dollars come from the residence hall. Because we are contracted with them for so many meal plans, and that's where a big chunk of their change comes from. But our catering team is really great.
So you're getting a percentage of meal plans? Is that what you just said?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact ratio. That's an accounting question, but I can get that information. So we sell the meal plan. They obviously get the commission. And then catering is a completely different split of funds at that point.
Do you have an example of like the catering menu?
Mm-hmm. So this is actually a really new development for us. So there's the catering guide. So you can look at this online. This has everything in it. And there's pricing, all that good stuff is in here. One of our recent operational changes was you can book your catering online. You cannot book your space online, but you can book your catering online. So you can come in here and you can create your own catering orders. So it was what a lot of us are doing, or our operation is essentially doing is you're gonna call them and say, hi, I'd like to book your space. I want the ballrooms for 3 hours for a luncheon. And then they're gonna send you to Cater Tax and you're gonna build your own catering plan.
Do you get the discount at the wedding venue too? Like that 20%? Is that a thing?
It is, yeah, so you still get the 20% off the space as the UCO section.
So what's stopping us from like booking for like space online?
UCO's IT. So we have a program, it's called EMS, and we have been moving towards online EMS for about 3 years. We're in the last stages, we're testing, I think, at this point. So hopefully by next summer, we will be online EMS and you can book your space online. The one hiccup in that is UCO's internal events. Because there is a large quantity of events, so the trick we're trying to figure out right now is to, if your student organization books a space, it automatically reserves it in EMS, so it's blocking out basically the entire calendar. So we're trying to work through how to not make that happen. Kind of looks like the entire calendar is blacked out right now.
And you may have said this, I can't remember, if you book like say I book the ballrooms and I wanna have food, do I have to use your catering company?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the profit margin basically? Like, obviously, it pays this amount, and some of it goes towards cleaning, some goes towards food, or say they pay the grand ballroom for 2,250, I think was the number you had up there.
Mhm.
What's the profit that y'all get out of that? As opposed to the cleaning fees and all that.
Let me ask my accounting team about that question. They'll be able to give me some exact numbers. I'm not too certain on the actual like accounting side of things. Like I said, kind of for the most part, my team handles branding and communication. The actual marketing aspect is handled by somebody else. So I'm kind of learning a little bit with you guys. This is gonna be a really fun adventure.
Are all those spaces rented or do you own them? Like all the venues that you have, are they all owned?
They are all located on campus, so they are all ours.
Okay.
So.
Do you know if most of them were at least close to being paid off? Or are they, like, are you still paying debts on them?
I do not think that we have any active bonds on the NIE. So a majority of our spaces. Okay, yeah. So everything on here is UCS campus, and I don't think that we have any active bonds on anything.
So you're never like
No.
losing money, it's just not making money?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, we're losing money in the aspect that we still have overhead. So we still have staff, we still have like cleaning fees, maintenance fees, things like that. So you can, I mean, we are still technically, we are not in the red, but we are not in the green. We're doing okay, but we'd like to do better.
So you don't book the boathouse or the,
I was just about to ask that.
you don't book the boathouse or the facility out at Lake Hefner, the Hefner Boathouse?
Down the river?
No, there's two boathouses. There's a boathouse
There's one on the,
at Hefner.
Yeah.
No, not Lake Hefner, I'm sorry, Lake Arcadia.
The one on Arcadia is handled completely with wellness centers. We do not have any, if you wanna book it, if you're having a team building event, say, and you're using some of our space, we will coordinate with the wellness center for that boathouse, but we do not oversee it. And it's kind of the same for the one down on the river. They actually have their own entire, like marketing team.
And
We
I guess the
coordinate
same
with
is probably true with the Jazz Lab and the performance venue and Bricktown and ACM, I would take it all of those spaces. Or-
If it does not exist within the non-university center or like these outside locations, essentially, we have to coordinate with them. And it goes into that whole like, I can't book liberal arts, I can't book the lecture hall in this building. We don't have jurisdiction over that. Like, if we had the larger spaces on campus, that would be super helpful. And at least give us a little more. I know there's actually a lot of universities that, even the classroom booking goes through the events management team, because then they have essentially a holistic look at the entire campus to say, okay, if you wanna have your Rotary meeting and you just need a classroom, you can go to business and have it in that classroom. Should be helpful, that'd be super cool. But yeah, basically if it's not denied, we have to coordinate with them, we don't have the jurisdiction of the space.
So if everything's paid off, and you're not technically losing money, what are the like cons of just discounting it a certain percentage, like all of them? Because I know that, I mean, if you're not having to pay off consistent debt and you wanna have a better chance at like getting people's money, probably reducing the price a little bit would work, especially if you're competing against places that are close. Or is there any like direct con besides just not making quite as much money?
We are actually the most economically priced.
Really?
Yeah, we're already really competitive on price.
So what is your competitive advantage? I mean, why would I pick UCO versus somebody else?
That's kind of what I was.
You're gonna pick it one for the price, and you're gonna pick it one because we're all inclusive. Like whenever you come and book with us, you're gonna do the entire process through us. You're not gonna be sent to somebody else to do your catering. Like you're gonna do everything with us. So we're all inclusive.
That's also a disadvantage. I mean, the catering is, touchy. I mean, I think that's a disadvantage.
How do you
If I want, Lou Divine to cater my events, you're telling me you can't have them come into the nine. So
And a lot of that has to do with, there's it's not a non-compete clause, but essentially they have our campus catering, like lockdown.
Oh, they're doing good then.
Well, they're doing as well as we're gonna do.
Yeah. So
What
how
is-
do you promote that? Do you do like paper, email? Do you talk to all the businesses downtown? Like, what is your way of?
So our like on the ground effort is definitely lacking. We pay for advertisements in your big, so the Journal Record has a meeting planners guide, we pay for an ad in there. The Edmond Visitors Guide has an ad from us in there. So we have ads in all the big publications that are gonna be going to your event planners, so they can say like, hey, there's this space. We have historically paid for ads online on the Oklahoman. We have done some paid Google ads. Social media is another one that we definitely, it's on my list to address this semester.
So there's no social presence?
Not necessarily, no.
What about affiliate marketing? Are you like also creating other like websites and companies, like Facebook saying that, hey, we're gonna pay this much now, and then we just push out like advertising?
And that is 100% an option.
Do what?
That's like 100% like an option. Yeah.
Because that's how I like get aware of other things, like something on Amazon, I'll just see it on Facebook and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna click on
Yeah.
that.
Do you
We-
push on LinkedIn?
We don't.
So do you have a Facebook or an Instagram? Do you have those, or you just don't have anybody using them?
We don't have anybody using them.
Okay, but you have one.
Yes, we have them claimed. We have all of our names are claimed. I don't want to say it's a ground up approach, but we're essentially relaunching events management to the public.
Because if you took to LinkedIn and you went to a lot of the major companies and just said like, hey, we have venues open, here are our prices, all inclusive, and those little messages that'll pop up, whatever, that probably would. I don't know if that might help.
We definitely we have unique venues, so they do a lot. They push out our name to the groups that are using that. So we get placed in a couple of like top 10 for this emails that go out. We're listed on their website. We have a premium listing on their website. So unique venues is probably our major advertising piece in terms of talking to outside groups. like outside of the Oklahoma City metro area. And then we have our events team does do a lot of like cold calling. That's the major way that we're getting business right now. They're cold calling new businesses, they're calling old clients. So we're really good about the personal touch. We talk to our clients a lot. So that's how we maintain a lot of our current clients and how we're getting some of the new ones. It's not necessarily a like marketing question.
What's your overall goal? What do you want? I mean, how will we know if we've been successful? So it looks like your revenue in last fiscal year was about $1 million.
Mhm.
What is your goal?
Our goal is to bring in one more client than we didn't bring in.
Okay.
It's a really low bar, but it's a bar that confession time. It's a low bar because our office has never successfully juggled 4 clients. It is always one or not the other. So is what I'm hoping that you guys can help me do is realize the strategies to help them succeed that we have not been able to do so far, and because we've been lacking in the staffing.
How many employees do you have that are helping run this? Is it just you, pretty much?
So there's my marketing team, there's me, I have my full-time graphic designer, and then I have a full-time digital marketing coordinator. She has actually been commandeered by housing, like 35 hours a week, and is doing a lot of customer service for them because we have COVID. We lost 3 employees on the housing side, and they were all our admin assistants, so she's handling email, phone call, text messages all day, every day. So essentially, 2-man team on that front. And then we have the events management team. So we have a director, an assistant director, and 3 event coordinators. They're the ones that are calling the clients and talking to them.
So like 8 people, pretty much?
Pretty much, but in terms of like the actual marketing, it's just.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's tough, but
Dang.
You see why, one more client is a success, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your like overall like long-term vision for this? So Jim Pond calls this a VHAG, so it's a big, very audacious goals. So like, what is this big like perfect like dream like role? It's like in the future, where do you see this going?
That's a good question. I would definitely love to see our summer conference revenue exceed that $1 million again. We've been about 2 or 3 years where we haven't been there. And I would like to see us better established as a community base, like not just UCOs, obviously an internal one, because that's the majority of the bookings that do go through the non-university center. It's just finding us a way to be better integrated in the community as where they're coming to meet.
So what is your specific goal with outreach, like reaching out to like our current like demographic and like do you expect us to like at least reach like 1 million people like by the end of this year? I mean that's like a big like number. I'm just saying that.
Not 1 million for sure.
But how many people would you like prefer to like reach out to?
That's a really hard question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What is my beehive? I definitely can say we haven't thought about that.
I will say, I did an internship for it was like a life insurance company, and it kind of sucked, but they also are really good at communicating, getting out to the public because it's an all commission job and that's what they're based on. So what we would do is we would plan out how many people we wanted to talk to over the course of 1 month, and then we narrow it down to how many calls we need to make per day. And then we find out how many calls we need to make, and then we find out what people would most likely be the demographic that we buy from, and we would call those people every single day until we reach our number. And generally about 10 people would listen, 3 people would be interested, and 1 person would buy. So we'd be calling, like, if you really want to get it down, a lot of times people would call like 700 people a month or something. But you have to narrow it down to which ones do you think are actually going to be able to purchase, actually going to be able to buy, actually going to be able to listen. And then you find that small area and you call that many people and you say, I want to set up 2 or 3 meetings or something for this venue, like a week.
Yeah.
And then that's how you can, so you go like big and then you break it down to how small you want to make it. And that helps you be able to find out goals like that instead of being like, oh, I think I want to call 8,000 people this year. And then you just start doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, that's kind of, I don't know, what we learned a little bit, but it seemed to help. Even though I was an intern, I would tell that it was better than just sitting down and being like, who should we call today? And then just picking up the phone. It was a huge spreadsheet you had made, like all this detail and data, and then you figured it out. So I don't know if y'all do anything like that, but that might help. I don't know.
That sounds like a great idea. I would love to do that. But again, confession time. This is not my like realm of information. So I am totally available for you guys at all times if you guys want to do a session and help me figure out what my BHAG is. Because I don't know. I know that we want to bring that summer conference revenue back up, and we want to be able to reach more of our corporate clients and bring in those private events. But what that looks like in terms of like actual hard, like I want to reach 20 people. I don't know. I'm giving you guys an impossible project. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
Props to you for even taking it on.
Yeah, I just think that we need to like have clear visions before we, see it, where we, what do we want to achieve before we, achieve that.
So you have people coming in from out of state or is it mostly within the metro? They're already here. So like the church groups, they're already in the metro and then they do their summer youth and like probably church camp or something.
The church camps are more regional.
They're regional.
They're regional, yeah. So that student life is going to be happening in Oklahoma, and it's going to be happening in Kentucky. So they're going to be happening in a couple different locations. So we're going to be pulling people from North Texas, Kansas. Like they're going to be coming in to attend that church camp.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Does anybody do educational camps?
No.
Like Duke University does their Duke program, and they'll have kids come in for 6 months or 6 weeks in the summer and study like robotics or something like that. So nothing along those lines?
We do have some of those in their internal, so they're not external source groups. Yeah. Trying to remember who they are. It's not Gear Up. It's they're science groups. I know what they are, but yeah. So they're internal groups that are coming and using the space, and they're staying on campus and things like that. But yeah.
Are you planning on doing these summer camps for the esports?
We would love to. We don't actually know what that looks like, though.
Because there's a lot of like people, and I don't know much about the video game world, but I know that there are a lot of people that do like competitions and stuff, like really big competitions. I think there's like some in New York and stuff like that. But if you were to hit and say, hey, this is definitely cheaper than the bigger states, and we also have a good venue and we have housing, then you could combine the price of housing and the esports. You could probably get a lot of people coming to Oklahoma for no reason, but just to play video games, and that'd be good for.
Definitely esports is a whole new like angle to this that we're like, what do we do with this?
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of options.
We have a lot of options. We just don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. If you were on the front end of the esports stuff, and that turned out to be like a big deal, that'd be good.
I did have a Fortnite tournament there. That's like a lot of money.
Yeah. We're hoping that that's going to do really well. Obviously, COVID throws a wrench in everything at this point, so it's interesting.
Where is the Esports Building?
It is right across from administration, so it's like a gray and yellow building.
It used to be
Thompson's bookstore.
Yeah, Thompson's.
Can anyone just look at that? It is on.
After 5 p.m., it's open to the public.
After what time?
After 5. So after 5, Monday through Friday, and after 2, Saturday and Sunday.
So what people are in there, like if the public can't go in, like what people are in there right now?
So Monday through Friday, Edmond Public Schools is in there doing their classes. So they're like middle up to high school in there, and I guess they're doing league play in Edmond Public Schools. So they're coming in and they're like their teams are practicing. And then the YMCA is in there every Saturday right now in the mornings for their league play. And then in the mornings, eventually, that's been held offline for UCO classes. So we're eventually going to start having those esports management classes in there, the shoutcasting classes. So UCA will be having classes during like 8 to 5 hours eventually.
What time does it close?
It closes
10?
at midnight. Sunday through. Hang on, I gotta fix it.
Are people in there until midnight?
Is midnight true of all the conference spaces?
Do what?
Is midnight true of all the conference spaces?
Yes and no. Technically, if you want to have an event till midnight, we're gonna let you have an event till midnight. It's not an advertised operating hour, and there's not really advertised operating hours for the night. It's kind of a weird like black hole space. You can kind of do whatever you want in there, whatever you want. But yeah, if you want to have an event in there, we're gonna we will staff for it.
So like, if someone wanted to have like a vampire roleplay convention at 3 a.m. in the morning,
I'm sure we're gonna figure out a way. We want your money more than we want.
nothing's off the table then, got it.
So more realistic,
Yes,
like,
we want your money more than we want to sleep.
Okay, that was funny.
more realistic, like youth lock-in, like we can have a youth lock-in and do it anytime. And just,
This may be a stupid question, but if I have an event that, say it's a wedding and I have 500 people, does the parking, do you get to utilize the night parking lots and, or do you have to like pay? How does
It's
that?
included.
It's included?
Mhm.
Okay.
That was a good question. I would have wondered about that.
Snacks.
How big is that actual arena? Like, did that actually host like a 100-person tournament?
Technically, no, because we only have 48 computers, so unless you're rotating them in and out. Technically, the gaming floor space is about 5,000 square feet.
Okay. 'Cause that's like an awesome, I never thought about that, but that could be such a good space.
Mhm.
With all
So
these
there's
games.
48 computers, and then it's 2 VR booths. But technically we have arena seating that seats like 75 in there. So you could have a 100-man tournament in there, and we'll just rotate in and out of the computers.
Gotcha.
This might be far-fetched, but there also is not a direct, like pilot flight school. Around here, you have to go out to like either Guthrie or Bethany, I think.
Mhm.
And if you were to team up with someone like that and do like simulation flights, then you can charge a lot. Like they charge $150 per session to go out to the actual place and fly. So you could charge probably less than that. I don't really know if the system itself is crazy expensive. And anybody who wants to do that, I mean, I'm sure they'd more rather do a simulator than just get in a plane,
Yeah.
maybe take off at the start. So that could be something you could team up. And you'd also be the only university that would have flight school simulations. I don't think OU or OSU even does that.
well,
Usually
like
they're
the
private
FAA
entity.
does
Huh?
that. The FAA does that, so you can just drive down to Little Rockers and just do that there.
Yeah, and like if you had simulators, that would just add something extra. I don't know if that'd even be worth it. That to depend on.
There's always room to look at something.
Yeah.
Definitely for sure.
I mean, considering Flight Simulator exists on VR, I mean, it is a functional idea.
So what's your budget? Do you have a budget for promotions?
So my budget for marketing is kind of a gray area. We're waiting on collections right now to come through. So, but they told me I have about $10,000 to operate with for sure for the year.
10,000?
For the
I
year.
thought you were gonna say a month.
No,
That's
Okay.
10,000 until next May or until December?
next to me.
But you don't have those on hand. They're leveraged through collections.
So
So like if
I
you
don't-
spend money, you might not.
so Campus Enterprises is one entity. And we offer all these products, but our bread and butter is housing.
Yeah.
Housing supports all those partners in some way or another. So because the university is allowed you to enroll without paying your money down, we're kind of in a weird collections hole. So our budgets are a little funky right now, but we have money to spend. It's not gonna be like, I mean, we're not.
Yeah.
Like, we're not rolling in dough, but we got money.
And we're loaded.
But But we're really good at the personal approach, so we have that part down. Social media, we can do pretty economically, I found, as long as we know who we're talking to, whenever we're doing all of that. And we've got options. Definitely don't put something on the table just because you don't think we can afford it.
Okay.
Because we have found money in weird places before. My AVP likes to hide money just for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you said you are using social media a lot or not?
No.
Not really right now.
Not really right now.
So just with people that you're talking to then, so I don't know the market, are you like going out to people that are saying that they like needed a place to have an event? Or you're really just strictly going to companies and saying, hey, do you need a place to event?
We're
to
really
have
just
it?
strictly talking to companies.
So you already know that they're trying to have an event and you're trying to offer, okay.
There's sales seasons for sure. And this would be a really good topic to talk with the actual team about. Because because I know daily, because that's how we're gonna do the marketing. So like we do Christmas in July, because you just got your budget, you're gonna book your holiday party. So you wanna spend that money and make sure it's locked in. So Christmas is holiday parties. About now is when we're really talking to summer camps, because we wanna get them, we wanna get them to sign their letter of intent, get that contract finalized and get them signed and get them in. Sometimes that's a 2-year process. We're still talking to them right now, even for 2 summers. That's a little bit of a longer process than just like a holiday party.
So like campus events, like Winter Glow, NBO, do they pay y'all? Does the university give back to you? Is it utilized for free?
How do I explain that weird pocket of money? Technically, we give them money that they pay us for using the night. Yeah. If we have to cut that money because we don't have that money to give them, then it has to start coming out of actual like student fees. Yeah. So that's part of, technically it's one of our contributions to the university lines that you're gonna see in our annual report, is that money that we're giving organizations to book the spaces for free.
That's weird.
Yeah.
They're like shareholders of the
I know.
open space.
Counting at the university is real weird. It's gray money, like weird money lines
So
everywhere.
anytime the UCI has an event on campus, it comes out of, you all lose money and then it comes back to our accounts to pay more?
Okay, so we take all of our money in that we've made, right? And we're gonna pay maintenance, we're gonna pay staffing, and then we're gonna say we're gonna give student affairs $750,000 a year, and that's your chunk of change for student boards to book the space.
Okay, so student affairs gets their money from y'all?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they're using that pot to book the space for free. But when the pot runs out, then you do have to start looking at student fees.
So do you hope their pot runs out so that you can get more money?
No, we definitely because our whole point is to support the university. So every money that we can bring from external sources to do upgrades and make the space really better, it's always for the students. We don't want to take y'all's money because we want you guys to use that money for the actual event. And bring food in or buy t-shirts and do all the fun stuff that we want you guys to do as part of the college experience.
So where does your funding come from?
Me personally,
Yeah,
technically housing,
okay.
get little bits from everybody else, but it's bread and butter is housing. Just for context, when we had to empty the dorms in April, we refunded $1 million. If we had to dump the dorms in August, when everybody moved in, we would have had to refund $6 million. Yeah. That's where all the money's coming from, is housing.
Do you promote much at like the Forge events for like the incoming freshmen?
Not really, but it's an interesting angle. We've never really thought about it that way.
Because eventually they're gonna grow up and probably work somewhere, and then like you want to be able to be on the front end of. It looks less like intrusive if you've been friends with them on something for like a while. It's like if on Forge you're like follow our Facebook and we'll give you a free T-shirt or something like that.
We do work more with alumni for that reason.
Mhm.
So we definitely let them know, like, share about, you get the 20% off if you're an alumni and you book the space with us. So if we're talking to alumni, what is their name? We're talking more to the foundation than we are to incoming freshmen. When I'm talking to incoming freshmen, I'm 99.5% of the time talking to them as housing. It is not the money. Yeah. It's a really interesting web of stuff.
Do you know if there are talks to build more housing? Because you said so much of you, and it seems like a lot of other things here ride on housing.
It is always a conversation because the suites is about, we have a 30-year bond on the suites. We're 10 years out, I think. I think it was built in officially 2000. That building, when it hits 30 years, it has to be replaced. It was built to the standards of 2000. Versus the building standards of 1960, which is West Hall, or the building standards of 1937, which is Murdoch, were very different. Everything in those buildings is like cinder block and mortar and like stone that's gonna withstand the test of time. The suites was built in 2000, which everything's paper at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even that many students that go to UCO live on campus either, so like there's a lot more potential to make more money.
We house, technically, if you look at the numbers, we house about 10%. So at 1861 beds, you have about 17,000 students. That's what it kind of evens out to.
So you said most of your revenue comes from that? Like your spending money comes from 10% of people?
You want to help me flip it on its head?
Yeah.
That's what y'all are.
10% of the people, and that gets a lot of the funding. Like, there should be so much more housing, if that's only 10%.
But it's a really demand for it. I mean,
I
so many
know.
students don't want to live
I
on
know,
campus.
it's just really unfortunate.
We've been battling that battle for about 3 years, really 3 to 5 years, ever since I actually came in as a staff member. Because our numbers are not realistic with the actual plight of the student, with student debt being what it is. I want to say when I lived in West Hall, it cost me $4,000 a semester between housing and dining. If you live in the suites in our most expensive option, we're paying like $10,000 a semester.
Yeah, I'd rather go to a public school.
The Commons, so Commons fills up first. That's the one we sell first, and then you sell Suites second. Murdoch fills up third. Actually, Murdoch fills up about second for the most part. West and Quad are our hardest buildings to build. And the Quad was built in 2015.
So there's never really a wait list to get in.
There's a wait list if you want a specific building,
Okay.
but not to get in.
Have you ever thought about trying to get off-campus apartment complexes? Is that like an option? I don't know if that'd be too expensive, but
We used to have Central Plaza.
Used to?
Yeah, it was rented, it was leased to UCM.
Okay.
When it stopped being Ramada initially, it was leased to UCM.
So where the Quad exists now used to be East Hall. It was built. So this is again university money. It's real interesting. East Hall was built after West Hall by about 2-3 years for the same amount of money that West Hall cost to build. So if you imagine 2 or 3 years of inflation, the building had to cut corners, so it came down in 2000-ish. Came down in the early 2000s.
it came down like
We took it down because it was
trash.
shambling. So at that point, we leased Central Plaza while we saved up money to build the Quad. And now the quad is one of our hardest buildings to build.
Ditch all on-campus housing, only get off-campus apartments. That's
Uh,
crazy.
Have we thought about making these into hotels? Like at OSU, like for the football games, like they have like a bunch of hotels that people just fill in. I mean, we don't have that, but like, we could like go into like the hotel like mid-season.
If you want to look at the housing operation as part of the scope of this, because you want to say that offering overnight rooms, that's totally within y'all's like scope of proposal. If you think that that is something that we should do, I am totally not against offering that as an option.
I don't think we have anything to offer. Like, there's no big football. Not a lot of people want to come here, so I think a hotel situation might. I don't know how we would draw people in, unless the esports got bumped in.
Right.
Then you could hop into that.
We
But
definitely haven't looked at it as in terms, well, for one, you have to also look at attendance at UCO games. We don't need a hotel.
Is UCO even playing football this? They're not, are they?
Not to mention if it was UCO games and all that stuff, I mean, most people coming from out of state, out of town, whatever, would probably just hold up over in OKC and then drive up here because there's not a whole lot to do in Edmonton besides UCO. We're a college town.
most people leave before the first half is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time they used to lease the stadium to Edmond Public Schools, each of the high schools didn't have their own stadium and they played. The only time the stadium has ever been filled is when like Edmond North would play Edmond Santa Fe.
But definitely, I mean, I think that if you're gonna see that in the unique venues, review, that offering overnight rooms during the actual year would be beneficial. Who we're offering that to, I'm not too sure, but I mean, there's corporate events that are coming in, we can offer overnight rooms if they're happening here on campus. We definitely have not looked at that before as a realistic proposal, because up to 3 or 4 years ago, we were on a wait list for the entirety of housing. But we're not anymore.
There's no such thing as football stadium.
So I have a really cool puzzle for you, and I'm super excited to work on it with you. It's gonna be fun.
Is there an email on there? It's events@uco.edu.
Your professor has my email, but you can write it down. It's C Ratterman, RATTERMAN, @uco.edu. I am the original Ratterman. And I'm pretty much available to meet with you guys, like, whenever you need to meet with me. Because this was my project for the fall, and I'm really excited to work with you guys as kind of a, like, brain thing. Because you guys know stuff that I don't know. I'm branding, if you need me to go talk to the press, I'm good on that front, but marketing, actually, in terms of like the sales scope, I don't really know. You guys are gonna teach me a little bit too.
All right, well, it looks like we're about out of time now. You want them to email you if they've got specific questions, or you want it to roll through me, or how do you want that to go?
I'm totally fine with them emailing me, if they have questions, if they're needing some information, if they wanna meet as a group, meet individually. I'm up in Bosher, you guys can come by whenever you want, pretty much. I'm here for y'all, cause this is.
Where's your office?
Where's your office?
I'm in Bosher, the new building, the new dining hall on the 2nd floor.
Oh, that's open? Wow, you'll live and learn.
Yes. Come and eat, it's actually really good. I hated buddies when I lived on campus, and I actually eat their ton now. It's crazy, it's crazy.
Okay, and then you're gonna email me the link again with the material that you had, that you showed here, and then I can load it for the class, okay.
Sure can.
All right. Well, I think this will be a really good project. Just think, you can help other UCO students.
Yeah.
If you can increase their sales from 1 million to 10 million. You can take
That's
the
it?
weight off of students.
I like it, be ambitious.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for taking the time to visit
Thank
with us today. This will be a good project.
I'm excited, so
Yeah.
thank you guys so much.
And we'll load a link, I'll load a link into, G2L so you can go see the video if you wanna watch.